So since I moved back to the UK, 3 months ago now, one of the first things people ask me when I actually tell them that despite the dulcet northern tones, I'm actually an American. Most British people, being typically more left of centre than our American chums, they're very surprised when they find out I'm an American. And the first thing they say to me is, what made me choose to be a Republican? And the first thing I tell them in response is that I didn't choose to be a Republican. Far from it. The Democrats lost me in a very short period of time. I always thought, being an agnostic/atheist secular fellow, that I had nothing in common with the American Republican Party. But I'm sorry to say that after thinking of myself as a Democrat for many years and registering as one when I signed on the dotted line and went from disgusting limey to handsome, glorious American in a single day, well, according to them, I am now officially a Republican. And I can very easily explain why. Articles like this tell a story, certainly an aspect of it. I'm a man of logic and reason. This woke religion that has consumed the left has driven me into the arms of anybody not them. In a very short period of time, there's been an extraordinary transformation on the left, both in the United States and in the UK. The Liberals, the people that used to go on protest marches demanding freedom of speech, demanding an end to wars of acquisition and stifling overreach from priests and padres to lobbyists and big pharma, have been completely overthrown. They have been replaced, usurped in broad daylight by a weird group that calls themselves progressives, then dropped the drawers and coiled one out on the White House lawn to riotous applause. And these so-called progressives make obscene fascistic demands. They simply say, if you do not agree to all of our demands and share all of our opinions, then you must be silenced. This is not progress. Biden himself was slammed by a lot of these people because in the long distant past he worked alongside racist people, or people deemed to be racist, by a left wing that has the bit between their teeth but no brains between their ears. AOC's latest needless and ridiculous outburst at Jeff Bezos was probably the final straw. I mean, I've always been against predatory capitalism and clamping down on people not paying their taxes, but there is absolutely no need for the venom and spite with which she spits her words at people like Jeff Bezos. AOC is every inch the ideologue, trained to think that anybody who becomes a billionaire is pure evil, and they got there by not hard work, but simply by exploiting the proles, comrades. They also seem to constantly plead poverty despite the fact they're all doing alright. My neighbour is an 8-foot, morbidly obese triathlete with a tapeworm, and even he can feed himself off $17 an hour. How much does she think people need to earn? I think almost any remotely impartial observer, be they left or right of centre, can see this as plain as day. These people don't have any facts on their side. They just have their feelings, their own truths. My truth, Meghan's truth, can be different to factually observed reality. AOC said Amazon pays starvation wages. Starvation wages? If you think $17 an hour is starvation wages, you've got a severe eating disorder. Why do people always want to work for Amazon and Facebook and Google? Is it because they're lefty, socially conscious businesses that always pay a decent wage? Or is it because any prospective employer is a full-blown masochist? The Democrats are hostile to big business now. Amazon responded to her ridiculous allegations as follows. These allegations are absurd. Amazon associates receive industry-leading pay starting at $15 an hour. In fact, hourly associates out of Staten Island facility earn between $17.30 and $23 an hour, plus benefits and comprehensive medical, dental and vision insurance. That's not slavery. If you think it is slavery, read a book. The word slavery actually used to mean something, and it didn't mean earning good wages with good benefits for working 40 hours in a week. It's just lunacy that I even have to spell this stuff out. Like you can only visit the salon once a week on such a paltry sum. Christ on a bike. And at my heart, I'm a man with many liberal sensibilities, but I'm also an ENTP, and I'm British, and I haven't cried since I was 6 and the family dog got flattened by a steamroller. I reject emotional arguments. I just demand logic and reason and facts, not merely a feeling that wrongs must always be righted regardless of any real-world implications. So I'm sorry to say, progressives, your feelings are at odds with reality. Your ideology is at odds with the facts. Being a rich, successful businessman doesn't make you evil, any more than being a low-born gutter snipe conceived in a wheelie bin makes you awful either. If rich people, most of them, can treat me with respect and see me as an individual, I think I can treat them the same. These so-called progressives are deeply, deeply illiberal. They exhibit the same authoritarian streak, reverence for the state, and populist preenings of the worst fascistic dictators of the far right. And I can say I agree with many policies of the likes of Barack Obama. I do agree with universal healthcare and a solid social safety net. And I'm pro-LGBT and gay marriage, and I'm pro-choice. But I will take small government conservatives that I disagree with on all kinds of things over an overbearing, authoritarian, moralistic busybody that will crush me utterly for the crime of disagreement. C.S. Lewis said it best. Of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. It would be better to live under robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybody. The robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep, his cupidity may at some point be satiated, but those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience. Take their things and lock them up, it's for their own good anyway. I'm not having it. I will argue with Trump and the even more dislikable Mitch McConnell any day of the week, and I'll defend liberal principles, because at least they'll let us have the argument. They're actually open to having a discussion about things. The progressives are not. To use their own dictionary, the right are much more inclusive than the left are. When I tell those on the right that I support universal healthcare and kneeling for national anthems because we don't live in North Korea, Trump supporters typically say, fair enough, you're entitled to your opinions. Try telling a progressive that you support a border wall and you think we should have a managed immigration process and you think Donald Trump did a lot of good. See if you get a quiet nod and a fair enough out of them. They will poke you in the eye the second you say it. Until the progressive statists are outed, I will never vote for any Democrat that is pandering to far-left activists. And I've only ever gave money to one politician in my entire life, and that was Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat. And if you think of yourself tolerant and liberal, have a look in the mirror and ask yourself one question. Am I really?